Thank you. I have a question about the Arctic and another about Afghanistan. Starting with the Arctic, is the U.S. concerned about a surge of Russian crude oil shipments to Chinese ports through the Northern Sea route, which is something we've seen in recent weeks? And are you concerned about overall increased cooperation between Beijing and Moscow in the Arctic sphere?
Largely, then, the cooperation we've seen between those two countries in the Arctic has been economic and scientific. That's been mainly the scope of their cooperation. There's been some military exercises in the high north, but really they've been mostly focused on economic and science. And look, nothing's changed about the fact that we want to see a free and open, prosperous Arctic region that all nations that border the Arctic can benefit from. Nobody's looking for conflict up there. We'll watch this as closely as we can, but again, nothing that's going to change our posture or our policy with respect to seeking opportunities for everyone to benefit from the Arctic. And then, look, on the oil, all I just say is there's a reason the price cap is in place. It has been effective in managing global supply and demand and limiting Putin's ability to profiteer off oil. I'm not saying he hasn't gotten any profits. Of course he has, but it has limited his ability to make exorbitant profits so that he can fund his war in Ukraine. We urge every country, and that includes the PRC, to abide by the price cap.
On Afghanistan, really quickly, Representative McCaul is criticizing the White House for what he says is attempting to normalize relations with the Taliban, and in doing so, he says that that's hurtful and injurious. What is your reaction to this?
I haven't seen his comments, so it's hard for me to be specific. And I haven't seen them, but it's hard to. It's just hard to look at what we're doing and say that we're normalizing anything with the Taliban. We've not recognized them as a governing power in Afghanistan. They want that. They want the legitimacy. Then they need to meet their commitments. I mean, how can you effectively govern? How can you effectively have a useful economy when basically half your workforce, all women, are prohibited from being a part of that process? So we're going to keep holding them accountable for their commitments. Now, look, does that mean we don't have any conversations, that we're not allowed to have any conversations with the Taliban? Of course not. We're still working to try to get our allies and partners in Afghanistan out. That takes conversation. It takes dialogue. But it's important to the United States to keep meeting our word to the people that helped us for 20 years. And does it mean that we don't still have shared counterterrorism threats? Absolutely we do. And the Taliban has been fighting against ISIS-K, particularly inside their country. Hard to see, again, not seeing the chairman's comments, but hard to see how it would be irresponsible for us not to continue to work on counterterrorism efforts.
Good, Phil.
Thank you, Greg.
I think, as a matter of fact, I'd say we owe the American people a significant apology if we somehow, because we have issues with the way the Taliban is governing, we just turned a blind eye to counterterrorism threats that might still persist in Afghanistan.
Good, Phil.